Sikoa and the MFDs didn't just cause mayhem inside the ring, they brought such unrelenting chaos to Raw that WWE security, under the direction of General Manager Adam Pearce, had no choice but to physically remove them from the arena. Yet, even after they were gone, the night's turbulence only intensified. Backstage became a battlefield as Rusev and Sheamus continued to brawl long after their official confrontation had ended, with their feud spilling into hallways, equipment areas, and nearly disrupting ongoing production. At the same time, Xavier Woods stormed through the corridors demanding justice after his prized sombrero was allegedly destroyed by Penta in what he claimed was a blatant act of disrespect. The atmosphere was tense as Adam Pearce tried to maintain control, quickly placing a call to SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis to discuss the night's escalating incidents. However, before Pearce could even get past the first sentence, referee Danny Amphibio burst in with his colleague, announcing that Rusev and Sheamus had finally been separated. Pearce, however, wasn't convinced in the slightest. He knew both men's tempers well enough to predict that another explosion was only a matter of time. Before he could even address that situation, Grayson Waller appeared alongside the New Day, with Xavier Woods immediately confronting Pearce about his destroyed sombrero. Woods, visibly frustrated, explained that the damage had been done by Penta and demanded retribution. Without hesitation, Pearce granted Woods a match against Penta for the following week, giving him the opportunity to settle the score and, in his own words, make Penta pay for his actions. The backstage tension only thickened from there. Sheamus was still glaring from across the hall. Rusev was pacing like a caged animal, and Woods was already talking strategy with Kofi Kingston. Pearce, realizing that the night was far from over, muttered something under his breath before storming off to deal with more pressing issues, bracing himself for whatever Raw still had in store. With the powder keg that is Rusev vs. Sheamus waiting to ignite again, and Xavier Woods now officially locked in for a revenge bout with Penta, the stage is set for another week of drama, grudges, and possible all-out chaos. The question now is not just whether Woods will get his payback, but how long before Rusev and Sheamus turn the backstage area into a war zone once again. Solo Sikoa and the MFDs didn't just stir up trouble during their time in the ring, they unleashed such an intense wave of chaos that the disruption carried far beyond their scheduled segment, spilling into every corner of Raw until WWE security had no choice but to step in. Acting swiftly under the watchful command of General Manager Adam Pearce, security surrounded the group, forcing them to leave the arena in a scene that had fans in attendance buzzing and staff backstage scrambling. But if anyone thought removing them would restore order, they were badly mistaken, because the real madness was only beginning. The corridors backstage were a minefield of hostility, with Rusev and Sheamus still at each other's throats long after their physical clash should have been over. Their fight didn't just end with the bell, it reignited in the production area, threatened to knock over expensive equipment, and had multiple referees and staff desperately trying to separate them as shouts echoed through the arena. Amid this boiling tension, Xavier Woods appeared in the chaos, clearly agitated and demanding justice after claiming his cherished sombrero had been destroyed in an act of sheer disrespect by none other than Penta. Woods, known for his playful charisma, was in no joking mood, his voice sharp as he accused Penta of crossing a line that couldn't be ignored. Adam Pearce, juggling one crisis after another, attempted to contact SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis to discuss the escalating problems of the night, but before he could even explain the situation, referee Danny Amphibio burst into the scene with his colleague, breathless from the effort of pulling Rusev and Sheamus apart. Amphibio confidently announced that the two had finally been separated, but Pearce wasn't buying it. He had seen too many nights where those two combustible personalities clashed again before the show ended, and he suspected it was only a matter of time before they found each other again. Before Pearce could formulate his next move, Grayson Waller made his entrance with the New Day, and that's when Xavier Woods locked eyes with Pierce and demanded immediate action over the destruction of his sombrero. With the kind of intensity usually reserved for title feuds, Woods made it clear this wasn't just about a piece of headwear, it was about respect, pride, and making Penta answer for what he'd done. Without hesitation, Pierce granted Woods a match against Penta for next week, giving him a platform to settle the score in front of the world. The mood in the backstage area was electric and volatile all at once, Sheamus still glaring from one end of the hall, Rusev pacing like a storm ready to break, Woods already huddling with Kofi Kingston to map out a game plan, and Pierce moving with the frustrated determination of a man trying to keep a dam from breaking. Every step Pierce took seemed to lead to another brewing problem, but he pushed forward, bracing himself for more twists before the night was over. The entire arena seemed to be holding its breath, knowing that with Rusev and Sheamus only a few harsh words away from tearing into each other again, and Xavier Woods promising revenge against Penta, next week's Raw could be even more explosive. The only real questions now are whether Woods will truly get the payback he craves and how long it will take before Rusev and Sheamus ignore every warning, break every barrier, and turn the backstage area into their personal battleground once again.